Hi and welcome back to the show, and we are sorry that we have been gone for a while, but we felt the channel needed a bit of updating. Plus Film Parade is no longer by that name, it is now the Film Rewind podcast. Welcome to the show, and your host as always Jason, to present an Army of the Dead review here on Film Rewind podcast. We are an unbiased show, and if we like what we have seen, we will be positive about that film. If we don't like what we have seen, then expect a raw rant and a low rating for that film. If you're new to this channel, then please take the short time to support us by subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to turn on those all important notifications for future drops of videos and content. We thank all that have taken part on our other shows, with the likes of the Ringside Fanatics podcast, the People's Wrestling channel, Rated R for Wrestling on YouTube, Forbidden Championship Wrestling over on Facebook, UKWA on Twitch, and we thank Mike Jetta as well for featuring on our recent videos, the owner of the EFED AOW on YouTube. So please also check out Genesis as well over on Twitch, and we thank all that have featured in our videos, and we hope that we can work alongside you as well over on Film Rewind. With the abandoned walled city of Las Vegas overrun with zombies after a disastrous government fall, the billionaire casino magnate Blythe Tanaka realizes that he has left something in Sin City, 200 million to be more precise. For the time being, his mountains of cash are safe behind his impenetrable casino vault. However, the US president plans to nuke the entire city in less than 96 hours. Now Tanaka is willing to pay 50 million to the decorated former mercenary Scott Ward and his hand-picked team to retrieve the money before the bomb obliterates the city. Indeed, this is a life-changing offer Scott cannot refuse. Nevertheless, the rules have changed, and the horde of the Walking Undead seem to be more organised than they might have expected. But time is running out. Can they return from Vegas in one piece and become rich? Army of the Dead is directed by Zack Snyder, written by Zack Snyder, Shay Hatton and Joby Harold, starring Dave Bautista, Ella Purnell, Anna Del La Rigera, Amari Hardwick, Theo Rossi, Matthias Shiwagotha, Nora Arnesnida, Hiroki Sanada, Garrett Dillahunt, Tig Notaro, Huma Qureshi, and Raul Castillo. An Army of the Undead is a pretty straightforward zombie flick, but it does introduce a big robot zombie mystery that will need to be answered in a future sequel. And this next clip will show you reasons why this could kick off a conspiracy type saga. That what if this was all part of this story, that something big is going on behind the scenes of this big heist itself. That it was all just to obtain a DNA from a zombie rather than obtain a huge lump sum of cash. And this is felt throughout the heist, as the secret agent eventually betrays the group in the end to try and escape with the alpha zombie head. But the story with how these robot zombies came about is interesting, and wanting me to find out more about them and who is really controlling them. And of course, how they managed to get locked in within the confounds of Las Vegas. Things are more overt than others, such as the smart alpha zombies that can have sex and reproduce, which means they no longer have to bite human victims to grow their numbers. They can simply make more zombies the old-fashioned way to build out their zombie kingdom. Add the fact that alphas can also ride horses, put on armour, carry weapons, and even communicate with each other. You've got a pretty unique vision of what a zombie movie can be in today's era, in 2021. Regardless of whether you like the final product or not, alphas aren't the only zombies introduced in this film, Army of the Undead. There's a far more mysterious undead creature roaming the Vegas casinos of Snyder's new zombie universe. A robot that appears in one shot of the movie, which has become the subject of heavy speculation among the director's fans. The robot zombies add another layer of intrigue to the film Army of the Undead, because they are never discussed by any of the characters and they appear so briefly in the film and are easy to miss. Army of the Undead makes clear that the US government has, at the very least, a vested curiosity in the Las Vegas undead. Zeus, the alpha zombie who escapes from Area 51 at the beginning of the film, is being transported by US soldiers from a top secret US military base. Clearly, the government is involved in the virus. That could just mean that the military apprehended Zeus and were conducting research on him. Or it could mean that the entire virus was manufactured within Area 51 itself. As of now, though, there's no way to know for sure. What is clear is that the government is very interested in the zombies, and particularly in their potential military applications. It's possible that the robot zombies spotted in Vegas are actually government experiments created to somehow emulate or infiltrate the true undead. The robots' blue eyes evoke the blue blood of the alphas, which could suggest the US military was trying to create fake alphas in attempt to bring the real horde under their control. If that's the case, of course, it would seem that the experiment was a failure. Another explanation for the robot zombies is that they were created by the government solely to spy on and examine the rest of the undead. This theory is perhaps a bit more believable, as observing and researching the zombies would be a much simpler task than trying to control them. The robot zombies don't appear to be particularly strong, so it would make more sense if they were actually sent as a mobile security camera to document and study the behaviours of the undead themselves. One last theory to suggest the robot zombies fit in the overall story is the time loop theory. In the movie, there's a scene where Amari Hardwick's Vandero character wonders aloud if the dead bodies the crew finds at the vault are in fact them from another time, and if they might all be stuck in some grand time loop, doomed to repeat their actions over and over again. It's clearly not meant to be taken too seriously, but that doesn't mean there aren't clues throughout the film that could be used to support such a theory. Assuming for the moment the time loop theory is correct, the robot zombies could be connected to it somehow. Perhaps they're impervious to the looping effect and are therefore meant to observe each successive circuit. That means either the government experiment or alien theories could still be true in this instance. In fact, the alien theory might be the best explanation available of how a time loop would actually work in Army of the Dead. Perhaps extraterrestrial overlords are looping the same outbreak again and again, all in a sick experiment to gain new data and refine their zombie virus. Or maybe the robot zombies in Army of the Undead are nothing more than fun Easter eggs, and these theories will be proven untrue. Who's to say? Another theory to suggest is, however, what if the film we saw was a scenario where the group made all the wrong decisions and the mission failed, but in another timeline the pregnant queen manages to survive. The zombie queen was pregnant, and if there is a time loop, I would love to see how this loose end ties, and if she doesn't die and does give birth to the undead child. And before I give out my own review, guys, I'm going to read for you a few critics of the film, good and bad, guys. So from the playlist, Rodrigo Perez has said this was Snyder's best movie since his debut, the zombie film Dawn of the Dead 2014. Army of the Dead is tremendously compelling and definitely navigates a lot of different tones, even if it quickly leaves more interesting ones behind. Largely captivating and thrilling for all his gore, darkly twisted comedy and delicious tension. Surely something satisfied audience will walk away with. There's also a minor but palatable sense of loss and melancholy, one that echoes the hardships of the pandemic age and ruthless American capitalism and gives the film some socio-political edge. And that was from the playlist. The Telegraph said Army of the Undead is a kindred spirit of rather than sequel to Snyder's earlier film, but it still cleaves faithfully to the Romero template, with its gaggle of abrasive, slippery lead characters that don't obviously qualify as heroes, and its generous dosings of vinegary cynicism and apocalyptic dread. So there's another stale review, guys. The Hollywood Reporter, David Rooney, said there's no shortage of excitement, suspense, jokery, camaraderie, sorrowful losses, satisfying comeuppance, twists and turns to fill the generous running time with plenty of variation in the bloody encounters. Vanity Fair said the Snyder of 2004 is utterly revived in Army of the Dead, a shrewdly mounted action film as opposed to a horror one. That may be saying that's something about imperialism, or may just be bloody, satisfying entertainment devoid of allegory. So as your host on the Film Rewind podcast, I thought the film was an intense, jaw-dropping, exciting film which has you on the edge of your feet with its mad story plot filled with fast-paced, jam-packed action. Others will say what they want about this film, negative or bad, but we on the Film Rewind podcast felt this was one of Zack Snyder's better films since Dawn of the Dead in 2014. Why? Because the film leaves you behind with many unanswered questions, which leaves you in the suspense of what if, what could happen, is there a constant time loop going on, are the military and government spying on them, collecting data on the alphas, or is this just a film filled with a lot of Easter eggs that don't define the film at all? But what we can say is that the film was absolutely intense from start to finish, and this is what I would see as a zombie apocalyptic film. The many theories this film captivates is none of the less interesting, with each theory suggesting either the government are at the forefront of the virus, aliens are the reason behind this outbreak and are wanting it to expand beyond the wall, or this is all just one big time loop and that the group are stuck in some sick game with each run through whoever is controlling it are just collecting data to further expand or strengthen the virus. But with that being said, I actually thought this was an impressive movie, one that I enjoyed watching. Many have given this a negative take, but I am going to give this a positive reaction as I actually enjoyed the film. We on the Film Rewind podcast will rate this film a 4 out of 5, and we'll give this an actor's rating a 4 out of 5 also. If you enjoyed this video, then please take the short time to like, share, comment and subscribe, and turn on those all important notifications so you are notified when we next do a film review here on the Film Rewind podcast. Thank you very much for taking the short time to view this review, and we'll see you on the next one.